Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Game Day Show. This is your source for college sports entertainment. This is episode 28, and I'm Ethan Bass, your host. This episode of the Game Day Show is brought to you by North Broward Prep. Go Eagles! We got a busy night tonight. We're going to be talking about Austin Peay versus Central Arkansas, the Big 10, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, and the upcoming college football games this weekend. All right, so let's first start off with Central Arkansas versus Austin Peay. Now, this was in Alabama, I believe. And Austin Peay was going off a quick start, I can see on the screen right now. And they're going to score a touchdown on their first play. Now, this is big. It was the start of college football season. Score a touchdown on a big play gets everyone motivated for the upcoming college football season. But as the game went on, Central Arkansas finally took control. But it was a very close game. Like, it was back and forth, teams back and forth. But Central Arkansas won the game. After they scored that, and, Central Arkansas did not look as pretty. They bounced back, but they didn't look as pretty. And, they're turning the ball over. They had a lot of missed tackles. And, they just didn't look pretty overall. Scoring 11 in that fourth quarter and getting that game-winning touchdown is a very huge team. They scored 0 points in the first quarter, 6 points in the second quarter, and then 7 and 11 in the third and fourth. So those were big stretches in the second half. Austin Peay's scoring thing was 7 in the first, 3 in the second, so that was big. Central Arkansas only hold Austin Peay to 3. 0 in the third, that's massive, and they didn't hold Central Arkansas hold it Austin Peay to no points in the third quarter, and then only 7 in the fourth. So, Central Arkansas had a great second half, not that good of a first half, but they bounced back in the second half. So we have some Big Ten drama going on right now. As you guys probably know, the Big Ten was scheduled to start for this year, but that got canceled soon enough, and they moved it to Thanksgiving Day for the starting date. But the Big Ten commissioner and President Trump, the Big Ten commissioner was not happy about this, that President Trump and the White House reached out to the Big Ten commissioner, but as you know on the show, we do not like politics, so I'm just going to a brief explanation on this. The Pac-12 did not get any explanation from the White House. They did not get any call. I think the reason why Trump did this was because they're swing states. All the Big Ten schools are in swing states, so maybe all the fans want college football, but we don't talk politics on the show. But Trump tweeted out that he wants Big Ten to play, so he called up the Big Ten commissioner and talk, but there has been no change. The Big Ten is still canceled, which in the college football world sucks, but you know what? It leaves to more safety for our players, and it was a good decision. Sources did tell ESPN that the Big Ten is scheduled to start in late November, early December, January, and sometime in that winter range, and then play in the spring. But to be honest, the discussion continues. I saw on ESPN earlier on First Take, I believe, that will the Big Ten be allowed in the playoff? I think the earliest date is October 4th with no bye weeks, because in these SEC starts in like 4 weeks, 3 weeks. The ACC starts in a couple weeks, 2 weeks, or a week from Saturday, I believe. Yeah, weeks from Saturday. So, college football is coming in tight. The SEC, ACC, and Big 12 championships are all scheduled in the middle of December, and then the national championship scheduled in January 12th. But you're looking at this, right, and you still need a break for the exams, too, for all the college athletes. And don't forget, these are college athletes. But the Big Ten will need to start in 5 weeks or so, October 5th. And that date, that could be the earliest date they can start and still be allowed in the college football playoff. But I don't think 5 weeks is enough for training camp. These players have not played in forever, in a year, let's say, and I don't think it's good. But according to the Big Ten commissioner, they will not be playing college football in the fall this season, which I still don't believe they're going to play either, because there's just not enough time, All right, so next what I want to talk about is Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. Now, this is always a very exciting game. Every year, the atmosphere is insane at these games. You have Jordan Hare, and then you have Alabama Stadium. But the atmosphere is absolutely insane at Auburn, Alabama. In the Iron Bowl, they get to host the Iron Bowl every single year. This year is no exception. Maybe with fans, maybe with not. That may change some things. But Auburn has recently been upsetting Alabama. They won 2 in the last 3 years. And they also had the amazing kick six They obviously had the amazing kick six back in 2013, but I want to focus on this year because last year Auburn beat Alabama. Of course, that swing field goal. I feel like Alabama always has a problem with field goals against Auburn, but maybe that's me. But Auburn did beat Alabama last year, 48-45. Again, that field goal decided it. Bo Nix. Watch out for Bo Nix on Auburn this year. Now, Bo Nix is a little sleeper pick in the SEC. He was a freshman last year. He put up very good numbers. But watch out for him. Now, Alabama is returning Mac Jones. So he got a little playing time last year since Tua obviously got hurt with that knee injury, I believe, for the whole rest of the season, the whole second half of the season. So Mac Jones did look pretty good, but he did lose to Auburn. Now, I see Auburn beating Alabama again because Auburn does have the veteran quarterback. Because he did play more games than Mac Jones, but they're both in the schemes. I really like to see Nick Saban bounce back from last year. They didn't make the playoff; they made the Citrus Bowl. They beat Michigan, but I really want to see Alabama bounce back here. It is at Alabama, so maybe that helps that there's crowd or they're pumping crowd noise. But Auburn is looking to win again. But let's say Auburn does beat Alabama this year, and what does that put Nick Saban at? Like in his career, and he's racking up against age. Where does that put him against a career? Is Alabama falling down? We'll find out this season if Auburn does beat Alabama. But I do see Alabama winning this game, bouncing back. But these are just early predictions, so the prediction can change in a couple months when these teams actually play. It's not the last game of the season; it's in the middle of the season. So that's also interesting. So these teams will be probably very prepared, and no one will be a little burnt out. All right, the team focus of the week is the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, Georgia did lose Jake Fromm last year in the NFL draft. He was their quarterback for the past 4 years. And they also lost a couple good offensive linemen and a couple of receivers. But they're still looking strong and still looking to beat the Florida Gators and win the East. But they are bringing in two quarterbacks in Jamie Newman and JT Daniels. They're going to have a quarterback battle. I heard that JT is kind of slowing down. Jamie Newman's kind of rising up there. So maybe Jamie will get the spot, but we'll see what the quarterback room will look like when they play Arkansas week 1. That should be a pretty easy matchup because, again, they do bring in two quarterbacks and they have a new offensive coordinator, which is big, and they have to get in the scheme. So I like for Georgia's scheme that they have a very easy, or well, I wouldn't say easy, it's an SEC team, but they have an easy SEC team, let's put it that way. To start in Arkansas, and Arkansas is bringing back has Felipe Franks, but we'll talk about Arkansas in another episode. But then the second game of the season, they have Auburn. Now, as we talked about right before this, Auburn is bringing back Bo Nix, and that's gonna be a hard fought game. Auburn looks like to be in the top 10 or at least top 15 right now, and that's gonna be a hard game for Georgia. It's only one of their quarterbacks' second game. Maybe they'll run with both, but that's only their quarterback and off in the corner second game. And they already play Auburn. And then they go to take on Tennessee. Now Tennessee is a very tricky opponent this year. They're bringing back the quarterback and a couple offensive linemen. So, and that's also a very tricky game. It's a trap game for most teams because last year, they had that losing streak of like 5 when the season began. They lost in some FCS school or something. Georgia State, I believe, and then BYU. And then they won like 9 straight or something, and they won their bowl game, and now they're rolling. So we'll see what Tennessee can do this season, but that's gonna be a hard matchup. And then you got Alabama. Now Alabama is one out of the 2 biggest games of the season for Georgia, of hardest opponents. Let's put it that way. Alabama, as we just spoke, is bringing back Mac Jones, and they always have the firecracker in their system. It's Alabama, we know, and they've been winning for it feels like forever now because they have. But Alabama, and that's me a hard-fought game. It is in Alabama, so that's another disadvantage. I have Georgia's first loss there, but we'll see. I see them going 3-0. I see them beat Auburn and beating Tennessee, but then I see them losing to Alabama. Then they go on to play Kentucky. Now, Kentucky is is another tricky opponent like Tennessee. There's lots of all these smaller teams. There are a lot of tricky opponents. I do see Georgia rolling past Kentucky though, but it's away. But we know that Georgia fans show up, so I see them beating Kentucky. Now Florida. Now they have a bye week, and then it's the other big game of the season. Let's put it that way. Florida, Georgia, the world's largest cocktail party in Jacksonville, Florida. Georgia has beat the Gators the last 3 times in Jacksonville. I do not see that happening this year. I see Florida's firecracker offense this year with Kyle Trask and Dan Mullen. Kyle Pitts is looking amazing this season. Their defense with Brandon Cox and Javon Dexter coming back. And then you also have Marco Wilson, Sean Davis, and also Kari Elam come back in that secondary. So, I mean, I just see the Gators beating Georgia this season. I think they have a good offense, and I predict the Gators to make it the playoff. But actually, fun fact, we're going to be making our playoff predictions next episode next week, right before the SEC season starts. But I see them losing, so I see them having 2 losses there. So I see them going 4-2 in those stretch of games. But then I see them winning the whole rest of the season. They play Missouri, Miss State, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. You know that last game, Vanderbilt, Georgia fans always fill up like more than half the stadium, I believe. It should be a pretty easy game for them. But I see them going 8-2, losing to Alabama and Florida, but beating Auburn. All right, y'all, this is coming the day after we are recording this. We have some breaking news coming in for the Georgia Bulldogs. We just talked about them, but we have some breaking news. This is the day after this, currently Wednesday, and we recorded this yesterday on Tuesday. But we have some breaking news here. Georgia quarterback Jamie Newman has opted out of the season to prepare for the NFL draft. He has also said concerns of coronavirus things. So he is opting out of the season. This changes the whole Georgia offense, and JT Daniels will now be starting for the Georgia Bulldogs. Sources are telling me that he completed 60.9% of his passes last year, played in all games, and he had a 260 yards and came 5th in the ACC ranking for quarterbacks last year because he did play for Wake Forest and then transferred to Georgia. But he will be opting out this season, and the Georgia quarterback will be opting out and be not play this season. All right, now moving on to our final section of today's episode, we have the college football games of the week. We have a couple here this week, more than last week. We have some Thursday night games. I'm so excited for this week. Let's get to it. All right, this Thursday we have Central Arkansas versus UAB. I have UAB winning this. I believe they have a 14.5 spread right now. I have UAB winning this. Central Arkansas came off a win against Austin Peay, but I have just them losing right now. I don't see them. I think UAB was good, pretty all right last year, but and UAB is more of a bigger, well-named school. They have more talent than Central Arkansas, so that's why I see them winning. Our next game is also a Thursday game. There's 2 Thursday games this week. We have South Alabama, Southern Miss. I actually have Southern Miss in this game. They have about a 58% chance, according to Vegas. They're under 53.5. But I have Southern Miss. Again, they're a well-known school. They have more talent than South Alabama there. Our next game up is Middle Tennessee against Auburn. Now, according to Vegas, Middle Tennessee does have a 60% and a 57% chance for Army, but I have Army in this one, and the reason why I do have Army is that, they're they were pretty bad last year, but I think they'll bounce back this year. They did lose to Navy in the Army Navy game, but I just see Army bouncing back and beating this good Middle Tennessee team. All right, our next game this Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, we have Southern Methodist versus Texas State. I have Southern Methodist winning this one. They are away, but they have a good returning cast coming back. And yeah. Our next game is Monday night, Brigham Young versus Navy. Now, last year, Navy had a pretty good season. They beat Army in the Army-Navy game, and they also have the triple option offense. So I see Navy winning this one against this good Brigham Young team. I just think that Navy's more experienced, and I believe Brock Purdy's coming back too. Or not Brock Purdy. Malcolm Purdy, sorry. But I believe that because of Malcolm Purdy, I think he's coming back. I'm not positive on that, but I still believe that they'll beat Brigham Young in Navy. And the game of the week, presented by North Broward, the first game of the week, surprisingly, is Arkansas State at Memphis. Now, this is September 5th, this Saturday, prime time, 8 o'clock. I have Memphis winning this one. It's their first game with the new head coach. Mike Norvell did leave to go to Florida State. But this is Memphis' first real test. They put Arkansas State, and they won. And they had a really good season last year, losing to Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. So, I mean, like, I do see Memphis coming back, and, their head coach is gone. They have a new head coach. I just see them winning this game by a landslide. Now, Arkansas State does have something to play for, though. So, all right, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Game Day Show. This was episode 28. Thank you guys, and we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.